tonight, make sure as you come into the space that you hit that stars button. Yeah, we want you to not just be a spectator, but to participate. So come on in the room. Y'all know what it is. It's Wade's Word of the Day.
Sing along if you feel my flow. Come on, sing that song. He has a plan in Jesus' name. He has his hand on our brand. Ain't growing together. I can make it through any weather. So come along, don't be scared. Hands in the air if you're feeling my flow. Sing along with the song. Hey, life streaming together. Life streaming together. Sing along if you feel my flow. Come on, sing that song. Hey.
Hear the message, if you will, of the invitation of us to come, to follow, to be a part of this thing that he is building, this church, this body of believers. Yeah, this body of believers who will be sustained through their love for one another. So don't be tempted to just think that this is about how I feel about somebody in the moment. But this love that Jesus is speaking about is a call to action. Yeah, that's what just love really means. It's a call to action. Recognizing as Jesus has loved us, we ought to love one another. As Jesus has fed us, we ought to feed one another. As Jesus has healed us, so ought we to heal one another. As Jesus has refused to abandon us because of our impulses, because sometimes even our desire for revenge or our desire for status, our desire to hate on one another, to be bitter towards one another, just as Jesus refused to abandon us in our emotions, he's telling us that we ought to refuse to abandon others because of these very same things. Man, what is going on tonight? What is going on tonight? Y'all know what it is. It's Wade's Word of the Day. So excited, so thankful and grateful to be hanging out in this space with you all tonight. Hey, do me a favor, take your finger, let it do the typing, and invite some folk into the space. Yeah, tell them to come on in the room. Yeah, y'all know what we do every night. We come into the space and we believe this space to be a healing space. We see you, Duchess Scott, the baddest man in Guitar Land, has made his way into the space over there on YouTube. We appreciate that. My brother, Jonathan French. We see Audrey Barnes Lee and others who have made their way. Aisha Frank, thank you for coming into the space tonight. Certainly appreciative of having you in the space tonight. So, hey, yeah, we come together in this space we call Wade's Word of the Day. We're here every night, Monday through Friday. We get started around 8 p.m. And in this space, because we believe it to be a healing space, Kadila, we see you tonight. Thank you for coming in the room tonight. Yeah, we tell our negative thinking, no negative thinking, no stinking thinking. We tell our mind, yeah, no stinking thinking. We're operating in positivity, not negativity. Yeah, that's what we do. In this space, somebody ought to take your finger tonight and say, I know that's right. Yeah, tell them, I know that's right. Leanna Winstead, thank you for coming into the room tonight as well. We tell our haters to put it where? Way. Yeah, way back there, way back there. And certainly we tell our fears, we're not operating in fear. We're operating in faith. Can I get somebody even right now to take your finger and say, I know that's right. I know that's right. So make sure as you come into the room that you're welcoming others into the room, that we're celebrating one another in this space. Because, hey, it's Wade's Word of the Day. We got a wonderful word. But before we get started, come on, here we go. Wade's Word of the Day. Let's go.
Yeah, here we go. Are you getting up or getting down? Somebody say hello, feel it's home. space. We're trying to get our healing. Hey, it's Wade's word of the day. Wade's word of the day. Wade's word of the day. Wade's word of the day.
It's Wade's word of the day. Wade's word of the day. Wade's word of the day. Man, I'm excited because it's hump day and we're getting over the hump together. We're getting over the hump together because we are live streaming together. What are we doing? We are LIF live streaming together. So I'm glad that you all are going on the journey of life with us together. Nina Holmes, thank you for coming into the space. We certainly appreciate you on tonight as well. Hey, let's go ahead and get into the word. Y'all know what we do. We take a word, kind of define a word, and then we kind of talk about the word. Tonight's word is manage. You know, it's the beginning of the year. This is a good time to be thinking through and thinking about how we function, how we are managing our person, how we are managing our context, our environment, if you will. It's a good time to be looking around and making observations in terms of how we are moving, how we are operating, how we are structuring, right? How we are structuring our path, you know, how we are cultivating our relationships, so forth and so on, how we are managing. Oftentimes when you think about a business construct, typically people get it twisted around what managers are really there to do. Managers are really there to operate as a support. They're not there to really like function in capacity. Many people who are doing work, they look at managers and say, oh, he can't be my manager. He don't know the job. But that's not his job. His job is to manage, or her job is to manage people, right? So they are hired to manage people. And such is the case when we think about it on a personal level. You and I, first and foremost, must learn how to manage our own lives. Somebody ought to say, I know that's right. Yeah. How are we structuring our lives? How are we managing our lives? Are we creating spaces in our own personal environment that is conducive to success, that is conducive to growth? Right from the beginning, let me give you an example of Jesus. What Jesus does, Jesus is in the process of managing, right? He has come to do a job. And then the first thing that he does, he builds a team around him. If one understands life just in general and you look at Jesus' life, man, he's dealing with a lot of things, but then he always takes moments or takes time. He always takes some moments, some time. The Bible says that he pulls away from everybody. In Jesus' construct, he goes somewhere to pray. And it is in his praying and through his praying, he is managing his life. He's not only getting in tune with himself, but he's also getting in tune with the one who sent him. This is how he can say, me and my Father are one. I never speak what my Father has not spoken. I don't do what my Father has not told me to do. Why? Because he takes these moments to get himself together. And in his construct, getting himself together is, as the Bible says, he moves away to a place to pray. To get in tune, to make sure that he is continuing on his journey, on his path of purpose, but not only that, of discovery, and also taking time to refresh, renew, so that when he comes back within the construct of the people who he is dealing with, he'll be of clear mind. He'll be clear about what it is that he is called to do and what he is supposed to be doing. Jesus does a great job of not only, uh, Jesus does a great job, first and foremost, of managing himself. And that's the first thing. That's the first thing that I want to talk about today when we think about managing. You have to figure out how to manage yourself beyond just simply expectations of others. I say it all the time in this space, figuring out what makes you happy, figuring out what makes you tick, figuring out who you are beyond just the noise of the crowd. See, Jesus is surrounded by people. Jesus is drawing people. People are running to Jesus, but he always takes these moments to move away from the crowd to make sure that he centers himself. Yeah, he does it through prayer. Others may say through meditation, but at the end of the day, he is centering himself. He's finding himself. He wants to make sure that he himself is on the right path. And I would say through the things that we have dealt with, through the things that we are going through, you and I, me and you, we must get back to a place where we learn or relearn how to manage ourselves, where you really understand who you are and what makes you tick outside of the noise of the crowd. And it's not just what you do. See, many of us have gotten to a place we start to think what we do is who we are. But when we manage ourselves well, we are clear about who we are. I was in a conversation with somebody the other day and just speaking about certain situations. And I said, you know what, a few years ago, I would have handled that situation. I would have handled a certain situation totally different. I probably wouldn't have had too much empathy. You know, I'm just looking at it straight up. But because of growth and because of rediscovering who I am and what makes me tick and what I want my life to be, right? How I want to see myself, how I'm framing my life. I don't want to frame my life any longer around frowns, but around smiles. I no longer want to frame my life around dogma, but around truth. I no longer want to frame my life around hurt, but around love. And so I'm learning how to manage that, manage who I am. And you have to do the same thing. You have to figure out what is it that you want, what makes you happy, what makes you tick, what makes you get up in the morning. Now I know some of you church folk are going to be like, Jesus, wonderful, great, wonderful, great. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. But what else? What makes you happy? What do you like? What puts a smile on your face? You know, what are those little subtle things as you're going about your day and something comes into your mind and it just brings a smile? I mean, is it walking outside and seeing God's creation, right? Looking up at the stars and thinking about, man, this is wonderful. The sun shining on your head, you know, sitting down to read a novel or a book, you know, penning some letters, doodling, whatever it is. What is it that makes you happy when nobody else is around? Nobody else is required. What do you find joy in? So I got to learn how to first and foremost manage myself, because number two, if I don't learn how to manage myself, I will not be able to manage my task. See, sometimes when we talk about people who are procrastinators, oftentimes they are not able to manage their tasks because they have not learned how to manage themselves. They have not learned how to discipline themselves. So here it is. The older that I get, there, you know, when I was younger, there were some things that I just remembered. I just remembered. But now I'm very clear. I need a calendar. I need to know what I'm supposed to be doing when I'm supposed to be doing it. And that just comes out of a new understanding of who I am. Hey, I just can't remember stuff the way that I used to remember. So now I've got to write some things down. I've got to put it in a calendar so that I can still be efficient, so I can be where I need to be when I need to be there. Is anybody picking up what I'm putting down? So for me, in a lot of respects, if it's not in my calendar, I'll forget all about it. If I don't get that little reminder, you got something to do here in an hour, so that I can get myself together, get my mind together, get my thoughts together. In some cases, get my attire together. You understand what I'm saying? Get in the right space to be able to deal with the people that I have to deal with in that moment. And if you're not clear about who you are and understanding that, you will not be able to manage your task. And so some of us are procrastinators simply because we have not learned how to manage ourselves, how to discipline ourselves. Therefore, we struggle to manage our tasks. Audrey Barnes-Lee says what make her happy: first, waking up, bright days, children, grandchildren, and having a good day makes my day. You just made my day. Thank you so much. That just encouraged me. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, I woke up this morning. That puts a smile on my face, right? Bright days, summer days. And I think Audrey's down there in Texas. It's nice down there. Well, hot, but nice, Then she got love around her, right? She's talking about the love of her children, the love of her grandchildren. She said that's the things that make her smile. Now, that may not necessarily be your thing, but she's saying that's what makes her smile. And what I'm saying is find the thing that makes you happy as you manage yourself, because if you don't know how to manage yourself, you won't be able to manage your tasks. You won't be able to hit your deadlines. You will always find excuses for why you didn't do what you were supposed to do, and then expecting other people to accept the fact that you have not learned how to manage yourself. Now you're not managing your tasks, and now you want sympathy. But at the end of the day, you won't do the work that's required for you to manage what it is that you're supposed to be doing. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? So not only must we manage ourselves, then we've got to manage our tasks. And so when I'm talking about our tasks, we should be the type of people that want to do our tasks with excellence. If somebody gives you a job to do, give it your all. And that might mean I've got to set aside some time. And so I know how my life is. I've got to get up early if I want to get in all of the things that I need to do. If I want to have some quiet time, some time to myself, sometimes that means I've got to get up early, or sometimes that means I've got to stay up a little later. But I've got to find time to manage my tasks. Sometimes that means I may have to work on this particular message. I may, some messages, boom, I get it, it is. But then another message, hey, instead of those 1 or 2 hours a week, maybe I got to put 4 or 5 hours in to get it right. So you've got to manage your tasks so that you can bring excellence to whatever you're presenting. Is anybody picking up what I'm putting down tonight? So I got to manage myself in order for me to be able to manage my task. Number 3, not only must I learn how to manage myself, manage my task, but then I've also got to learn how to manage my emotions. Anybody in the space ever get into some trouble because you didn't know how to manage your emotions? You quick trigger, oh no, she didn't. Or no, he did he just say that? Have y'all ever seen they got these videos, YouTube videos where a guy is there's a few of them, but there's a guy, one of them, there's a guy in Chicago somewhere. He's working behind the he's working behind the counter, and people come in and he say all kinds of crazy stuff to them, and then immediately they go off the hook. What you say to me? You know where you at? You know who you're dealing with? He's like, bro, I'm on the phone. I'm talking on the phone. Or be walking down the street and passing somebody and they say something. You know, it's a joke, but they say something and the person on the other side, what? What you say about me? Oh, I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone. Have our lives become such that we can't manage our emotions. We're like quick to assume the worst. We're quick to think somebody is talking about us. We're quick to think because we overheard a conversation, they must be talking about me. Is anybody ever seen that? Right. So we've got to learn how to manage our emotions. Not everything that's said about you is to hurt you. Sometimes certain things that are said about you are to help you. And then you've got to know the difference in terms of managing your emotions between truth and false. So in other words, if there are certain things that people are saying that are false, some things you don't have to give energy to. And sometimes we get all worked up and in situations. Early on in my ministry, certain things, man, people were saying certain things, whatever, and some folk would be like, man, I wouldn't even worry about it. Some folk were more burdened by it than I was burdened by it because I was just like, yo, I don't spend energy. I don't spend my time wasting energy on false stuff. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, and so you've got to decide, right? Is this whatever's being said, is it coming to help me or is it coming to hurt me? I always give that 24-hour rule, 24 to 48-hour rule. Sometimes you can't always do that, but I try to lean on that. Hey, let me think through this thing before I approach this thing. Because there's a lot of things in this world that can cause us, if you will, if we're not careful, to be in our feelings. Somebody ought to say, I know that's right. Yeah, it can cause us to want to be in our feelings, if you will. But we have to figure out a way how to deal with our emotions, because our emotions are a crazy thing. Our emotions put us into some relationships. Come on, let's keep it 100. Our emotions put us into some relationships that going in, we was like, what the hell are we doing? You know what I mean? But you know, but you know what they say, you can't control your heart, you know, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Our emotions got us into some fisticuffs, probably where we didn't have to be in fisticuffs. Our emotions caused us to buy some things that put us in debt where we shouldn't have been in debt because we were led by our emotions. That car would look good. I look good driving in that car. Mm-hmm. And you walk on up in there and say, oh, look, I can afford this, not even thinking about what the interest rate might be and all of that kind of stuff. So we in debt now on something that loses appreciation the moment that you drive it off of the lot. But we were emotionally tied until you hear that story through like a lot of professional athletes and such, right? They get that first check, man, and they driven by emotion. They go out there and buy everything in sight. Failing to realize on that first, million, Uncle Sam get a little over half of that. So a lot of times you think, oh, I got $1 million check. Some of y'all out there playing the lottery, understand that. Oh, I didn't hit for $1 million. You ain't got no $1 You got less than $1 million because you got to give over half of that to the government back in taxes. You picking up what I'm putting down? That's what happened to the guy from Survivor. He went and won all that money on Survivor and went and spent that little reward money, failing to realize he ain't paid them taxes on it. Are you feel what I'm saying? Are you understand what I'm saying? So we got to understand that. We can't be driven. We've got to learn how to manage our emotions. We got to learn how to, and can I even argue that on certain levels that has been problematic in the church because we've been consumed with the emotional highs that's tied to some of the things that we do. You've heard the story. It'd be like, man, Pastor Show did preach. What did he preach about? I don't know, but it sure did made me feel good. You understand what I'm saying? What is that? We got to find that balance, right? Of learning how to manage our emotions. So manage myself, manage my tasks, manage my emotions. But not only that, I've got to learn how to manage my relationships. I ain't froze. I just wanted to take a moment right there and pause, some things that make you say, yeah, we've got to learn how to manage our relationships. Start to ask ourselves, what kind of relationships do we want to be involved in? What kind of role we're going to play in the relationships? Will we cultivate authentic relationships? Will we continue to go down the path of transactional relationships? Relationships that we may be in, whether work relationships, whether it's I'm an entrepreneur, kind of relationships. I'm in business groups, and I'm in, political constructs, all of these relationships that we find ourselves in, we have to learn how to manage those relationships. And I won't even get into gender relationships. What I mean, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, so forth and so on. I don't even like to use those labels any longer because that's a whole deeper conversation, but you get my point. We got to learn how to manage those relationships. Because sometimes we get into relationships simply because we're lonely. And all our life, we done heard somebody say, you ain't married yet. Girl, your clock is ticking. Or from a man's perspective, it's kind of like, yo, why that dude been single all his life? What's going on with him? You understand what I'm saying? All of these stigmas that come around relationships and why we get into relationships and all of those things. We've got to learn how to manage those things. And so when I look at Jesus, I see him as one who understands how to manage himself. He understands how to manage the task. He manages his emotions. And certainly relationships are important to him. And so he figures out ways how to manage them. Right? He goes from being one who is overseeing people, right? His disciples. He has intimate relationships as it relates to cultivating family relationships, closer relationships. When we think about Lazarus and his family, Mary and Martha, and so forth and so on. We think about the relationships that he is trying to manage with the religious folk, the church folk, how they seem to be his staunch opposition when they should be the ones who embrace him. They are the ones who revile him. We see his relationships in respect to interracial, racial relationships. I must go through Samaria. Our life is full of how we manage it, how we manage us, how we manage our tasks, how we manage our emotions, how we manage our relationships, how we manage our situations. You picking up what I'm putting down? And so I'm saying now it's not late. It's not too late. Now is a good time to be thinking about how you're managing your life, how you're managing your task, how you are managing your emotions, and certainly how you are managing your relationships. Man, I'm done tonight. If this word has added value to your life on tonight, y'all know what I need you to do. I need you to text, tag, and tell somebody. Yeah, I need you to holler at somebody. Take your finger and let it do the talk and point them on over here to this space. We're in all of the spaces, the social media spaces, YouTube, Facebook. Drop some stuff on Instagram and all of that good stuff, Twitter as well. Come on. Invite them to get connected in all of the spaces that we operate in. This is Wade's Word of the Day. We're here every night, Monday through Friday. If this word has hit on you, if this word has blessed you on tonight, do me a favor right now. Hit that stars button. Hit that stars button. Every time you hit that stars button, you help us to cultivate ministry. Every time you hit that stars button, that basically represents a penny. So if you do 200 stars, that's $2, y'all. But it goes a long way in helping us to do the ministry that we're trying to do in this space, right? Because we are live streaming together. I'm out of here. I left room for y'all to go ahead and get yourself together for the night. Maybe I'll go a little bit longer on tomorrow. I love y'all so much. Thank God for you. I really do appreciate each and every one of you who come into the space every night. Let's go out this way. Y'all let me know if you're feeling, I don't know why I was feeling this, but I've been kind of in this mode in terms of the songs that I've been listening to. Let me know if you're feeling this one. Here we go.
Back to me, give it all back to me. What is done for you? What did they do you? Give it all back to me, God said.
Give it all back to me.
That's what the Lord said.
Give it all back to me.
What I done for you?
What I done for you? What I do for you? Give it all back to me. Give it all back.
Everything.
Give it all back.
Everything.
What I done for you? What I do for you? Give it all back to me. Give it all back.
Everything you got.
Give it all back.
Everything.
What I done for you?
Yeah.
What I do for you? Give it all back to me. I won't share my glory.
Glory.
with no one else.
I won't share it with no one else. So don't you try.
You try to be mad.
Man, I got to get out of here. It's been a wonder. Every night, Monday through Friday. It's Wade's Word of the Day. I'm your host, Pastor R.D. Wade. Love y'all so much. Make sure that you take tag. Tell somebody. Invite them into the space. We're here every night, 8 p.m. I'll talk to you all real soon. Love you so much. Hey!
That's what the Lord said. You can't handle it.